It's a busy night for this dispatcher when he answers what seems to be a routine 911 call. Little does he know that this case is nothing like any case he's ever handled before. The trembling voice of the desperate lady cuts sharply over the phone, and it's clear that something about this situation is off. Every second counts, but the details he has are sparse, confusing, and urgent. The longer he listens, the more nothing adds up. But it gets worse, because no one else is nearby, and the situation escalates far beyond what he imagined. He thought this was just another emergency, but this call pulls him into something far darker, something terrifying that may change everything he thought he knew about that night. Asgar Holm, a Copenhagen police officer, has been pulled from active duty and stuck at an emergency dispatch center. He's there because of a court hearing scheduled for the next morning, an inquiry into a shooting he was involved in while on the job. His former partner Rashid is tangled up in it somehow, and every mention of the case carries weight. It's a really unclear situation, and all that's revealed to us is that a 19-year-old is dead, and Asgar claiming it was self-defense. For the meantime, he sits at his desk and takes calls, which is probably some kind of probation for him after what happened. Anyway, he's not exactly bad at the job. The thing is that he just doesn't want to be there, which is pretty understandable for someone who is used to being out on the field. Now, he's stuck sitting in front of a desk all night, and it starts getting to him after a while. It's so bad that he can no longer hide his resentment for the job. You can literally feel it in every exchange. The short answers, the sighs, the way he treats each caller like an inconvenience rather than a person reaching out for help. He's cold and dismissive, like a man who's convinced he's meant for something bigger than this. When a guy phones in after getting robbed by a sex worker, Asgar lets him wallow in embarrassment before sending help. When someone calls in about drug use, he lectures them. He's a cop who thinks he's above the desk, above the callers, above whatever chain of events landed him here. There's an arrogance to him that isn't softened, at least not yet. Then, deep into his shift, a call comes in, and that call changes everything. A woman named Eben is on the line. Her voice is low and careful, and she's pretending she's talking to her little daughter. It takes Asgar some time to realize she can't speak freely, that someone else is in the car with her. Once he figures out the state of things, he cleverly and quickly comes up with a theory to explain what's really going on. Right now, Asher has good reason to believe that the woman on the other end has been taken. Determined to get some more clues without actually putting her in danger, he starts asking questions she can answer with a yes or no, and through that careful code, Asgar pieces together what's going on. Eben has been abducted by a man driving a white van. She's scared, she's trying not to show it, and she's trusting a complete stranger on the phone to get her out. Asgar passes the call along to North Zealand, the region where it's happening, but he can't bring himself to drop it. Something about her voice keeps pulling him back, the way she's holding herself together, the way she's trying so hard to sound calm when she clearly isn't. Now, he's pretty much invested in the case, as he wouldn't want to see anything bad happen to the woman, and so decides to stay connected and starts working the case from his desk. Unfortunately, it doesn't take long before the call drops, and while most people would probably give up at this point, Asgar fights hard to get her back on the line. While he waits, he finds Eben's home number and dials it. A 6-year-old girl named Matilda picks up. She's alone, or almost alone. Her baby brother Oliver is there too. She tells Asgar that her father, Michael Berg, came by earlier in the evening. He was angry, loud, not supposed to be there at all. Michael and Eben are separated, and he has a record. He grabbed Eben and left the two kids behind. Asgar promises Matilda that her mom is coming home. He sends officers to check on her and the baby, and then gets back to work. He gets Eben back on the line. She's been moved to the back of the van now, and she's terrified. Between broken sentences, she says she doesn't want to get locked up again. Asgar hears it, but doesn't look into it. He tries to calm her mind and make her steady. She starts talking about the Blue Planet Aquarium in Copenhagen, how she'd promised to take the kids, how Matilda loves the turtles, how peaceful it is to just stand there and watch the fish move through the water. There's something tender about it, a mother holding on to a normal moment in the middle of something that is anything but normal. Talking about it seems to calm something in her. Her breathing slows. For a moment, the tension loosens just enough to breathe. Then, almost in passing, she mentions Oliver. She says he'd been crying a lot lately, that he had snakes in his stomach. She tells Asgar it's okay, that she got rid of them. He asks what she means, so she explains. Oliver stopped crying once she cut them out. The line goes quiet. Asgar doesn't respond right away. There's a long pause where you can almost hear him trying to process what he's just heard. In that silence, it all unravels. Eben hurt her own infant son during a psychotic break. She believed the snakes were real. She thought she was saving him. There was no malice in it, just a mind that had completely broken from reality and taken a terrible action in the dark. The police unit arrives at the house and confirms it. Oliver's room, the wounds, Matilda covered in blood. Everything Asgar thought he knew about this night falls apart. For hours, he's been working on the assumption that Michael was the danger, that he'd taken Eben against her will, maybe killed Oliver, and was driving her somewhere to do worse. At one point, Asgar even called Michael directly and told him he deserved to die. He said it with conviction, certain he had the picture right. He didn't. Rashid calls back from Michael's home, where Asgar had sent him to dig around. What he found there rewrites everything. Custody records, documents from a psychiatric facility in Elsinore, evidence that Eben had been committed before and had recently been released. And when Rashid maps Michael's route, it points straight to the hospital. Michael didn't take Eben to hurt her. He found out what she'd done to Oliver, and he was trying to get her back to the one place that could help her. He didn't call the police because he didn't trust them, didn't trust the system to handle it with any care for his family. So he did the only thing he could think of. He got in the van and drove. The man Asgar spent the whole night hunting as a criminal was the only one trying to do the right thing, and the damage is already done. Before any of this came to light, Eben hit Michael in the head with a brick because Asgar told her to find something and fight back. Michael is injured. Eben has run from the van into the dark, and now nobody knows where she is. Asgar works every angle he has. Determined to get to the bottom of this, he calls, he coordinates, and pushes anyone he can reach. But despite all his efforts, he finds nothing. And just when it feels like he might be at a dead end, she calls him all of a sudden. Now, in a shocking twist, she is standing on a bridge. Something has broken through. The fog has lifted just enough for her to understand what she did to Oliver, and she doesn't want to come back from it. The guilt has replaced the delusion, and in some ways, that's even harder to survive. Delusion, at least, offers a kind of shelter. Clarity has none. Asgar keeps her on the line. He talks and searches for anything that might reach her, some reason to give her to pull her back. And eventually, he stops trying to fix her and starts telling her the truth about himself instead. He killed a man. Not in self-defense, not really. He killed a 19-year-old named Joseph because in that moment he had the power to, and something in him chose to use it. He could feel himself making the decision. There was no break from reality, no snakes in anyone's stomach, no fractured grip on what was real. He looked at that kid and made a choice, and Joseph died because of it. Rashid is about to walk into court the next morning and lie for him. Asgar tells Eben he already called Rashid and told him to stop. It's the most honest Asgar has been with anyone, possibly including himself. And he's saying it to a stranger on a bridge in the middle of the night because it's the only thing he has left to offer. Eben did something devastating, but her mind had turned completely against her. She had no grip on what was real. She didn't know. Asgar had every grip on reality and hurt someone anyway. He knew exactly where he was and what he was doing, and he did it anyway. The line dies. Asgar sits in the quiet of the dispatch room and waits. A few minutes later, North Zealand calls. They found Eben on the bridge. She stepped back from the edge. She's alive. Asgar stands up slowly. His colleagues are quiet around him. They've been close enough to hear everything he confessed. He walks out of the room and into the pale light of early morning, leaving behind the desk, the headset, the long, awful night. The hearing is still coming. Rashid is still out there. Oliver's fate isn't confirmed on screen. Whether Asgar tells the truth when it actually counts, the film leaves that open, and somehow that feels right. Because the real question was never what happens in the courtroom. It's whether a man who finally told the truth, once, in the dark, to a stranger, can find a way to keep doing it. That's it for today's recap, everyone. But before you go, I gotta ask, do you think Asgar turned himself in to the authorities? And do you think he should be punished for what happened? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and catch you in the next one.